In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single DPS hero in Marvel Rivals, from worst to best, while going into detail on what makes them good or bad, allowing you to get a better understanding of each hero. This list will be based on what heroes will be best for newer or casual players to pick up and play. With that being said, let's get right into it. Hands down, the worst DPS in the game right now is Black Widow. Why? Well, what does she even do? A little bit of poke damage here and there? The only way she can be considered useful is if you are constantly hitting shots, well buffed by Mantis, and your positioning is amazing. And unfortunately, low to mid rank players won't be able to do this, making her virtually useless. So if you're playing her right now, don't. It's time for you to find a better main, and that's what this video is all about. Quick side note here, once we hit 10th place, I'll be giving a tip for every single hero on the list, in order for you to play them better and get the most impact out of their kits. The second worst hero on this list is gonna have to be Spider-Man. And listen, I know, he's fun, he's awesome, and he is technically broken, but let's be honest here. You are not good at him. If you were, you'd be Grandmaster or higher, and you wouldn't be watching this video. I personally think he's amazing, but because he is so damn hard to use and get value out of, most people shouldn't be playing him, at least not in rank, simply because of how mechanically demanding his kit is. And speaking of mechanically demanding kits, the third worst hero on the list today is gonna have to be Black Panther. And just like Spider-Man, he is good, very good, but only in the right hand. And after his nerf, he can easily be countered by Namor, a hero you don't need to be good with to get decent value out of. So unfortunately, Black Panther won't make it any higher on this list. You can play him, but you shouldn't until you get a lot better at the game. Next, we have Iron Man. Iron Man is a great hero when comboed with Hulk. However, on his own, he isn't that powerful. His ult is easy to counter, he's very easy to kill, and to play him effectively, you need to have really good positioning. And while you can make him work, most people who aren't in high elo cannot play Hulk and will be actively throwing on him. And to play him without the Hulk wouldn't be a smart idea, as there are much better heroes to pick. After Iron Man, we have Hawkeye. And while it's true, last season he was broken, this season he isn't as good. He's only a really good pick if you have insane aim with him and can land all your shots consistently. Otherwise, over 50% of the time, you were just shooting into nothing, whereas if you played a different hero, you could actually do some damage. He's also very easy to counter, so I wouldn't suggest playing him unless you have an insane amount of hours on Hanzo and are an aim god, which you're probably not quite yet, so it's better off to pick a different hero that's more user-friendly. In 13th place, we have the newest addition to the game, Mr. Fantastic. Now he is good, don't get me wrong. He can sponge a lot of damage, and if used correctly, is almost unkillable. Now the key phrase here is used correctly. He takes a lot of time to master and has a low damage output. Because his skill ceiling is so high, and there are much better picks, he won't go any higher on this list. He's not worth the time investment to get good at, in my opinion. In 12th place, we have the baddie Wanda. Now this one pains me because I love the witch, but in this game, she just isn't that good. She is very easy to use and can do a decent amount of damage, which is why she got the 12th spot. However, her ult is hard to get off consistently, and there are better heroes to choose from. But don't get it twisted, she can still be strong, especially in very low elos, because of how simple her kit is. In 11th place, we have Iron Fist. And you may be thinking, man, he should be higher up on this list. Absolutely fucking not. He is a dog hero, and Iron Fist players need to be studied. However, he is strong, and he is relatively easy to use. The only issue is to be effective, you need to be diving the supports, and your supports need to be able to heal you. So positioning and game sense are very important. However, he is pretty busted, so most of the time you can get away with doing dumb shit in lower elos. But once the enemies get smarter, he's a lot harder to use, which is why I won't put him any higher on the list, because he's not as good as the rest of the heroes after him. Yo, what's good gamers? If you're enjoying this video so far, consider hitting that sub button. It would mean a lot if you did. If not, no worries. Much love, guys. Now, tied for 10th place, we have the Human Torch. He's new, he's exciting, and he's awesome. But in all honesty, he is not as broken as people think. He does a decent amount of damage, but just like every flying hero, you need good positioning to be viable. and unlike Storm, his left click is pretty weak. He can be good if you are extremely good with him, but if you're not, well, he's not the greatest. Maybe once he's out for longer we will see his full potential, but for now, I'm not going to rank him any higher or lower as he's still new. A good tip for him would be to primarily focus on your right click as it does the most damage output, and if you hit someone with it, it charges faster. So always be looking to cut the enemy off with it and your E, and then hit them directly with it as well, allowing for the most damage output. You can also do a quick execute by right clicking then left and then right and instantly diving into them. Now in 10th place and the first hero on the most viable list is the Guardian of the Galaxy, Star-Lord. Star-Lord is awesome, he does a lot of damage, his ult is super broken, and he has a get out of jail free card. Now yes, you do need to aim with him and have good positioning, but he's pretty user friendly with good mobility and an auto aim execute, so picking him up and learning him is a very good idea. When playing him, you want to always be going after the healers and bullying the backline, not pumping damage into tanks. Make sure you are using your instant reload to either finish a kill or get out of danger. For a secret tip, you want to be using this combo. When you get a healer low, instead of trying to finish them off normally, fly close to them and pop your blaster barrage. Then use your stellar shift to get out safely. This will guarantee a kill every time. You also want to make sure you turn off auto rocket propulsion for better movement. In 9th place, we have Storm. Now Storm is unbelievably strong right now, and if she gets a Thor team up, she is bust. However, she is also very hard to play. You need to have really good aim as her damage isn't hit scan and it takes a while to get used to. You also need to have insane movement and positioning, otherwise you will get focus out of the sky and die easily. However, I would suggest trying her out and seeing if her playstyle suits you. If it does, spend some time learning her as she can hard carry a game with or without Thor. A good tip for Storm is to make sure that you always play with cover directly beside you. This way you can pop in and out of it and hit your shots easily. And if you can't find any cover, play closer to your team in order to get healed easier and give them all a damage boost with your passive. You should also always pop your goddess boost when the enemy groups up close to you for extra damage output. In 8th place, we have Winter Soldier, one of the most busted and annoying heroes in the game. His ult is extremely broken and he can do an insane amount of damage, especially with a rocket team up. However, he is also not easy to use and takes time to get good at. In order to play him properly, you need great cooldown management, as every time you use an ability, you reload your gun. You also need good aim because his bullets aren't hit scan, and good positioning as he's easy to kill if you mess up his combos, making him one of the harder heroes to master, but he also can be decent even if you aren't the best at him. So I would suggest trying him out and seeing if he's a good fit for you. A good tip for Winter Soldier is to use your hook and shift combo. This is extremely powerful for pulling enemies out of position and killing them. What you want to do is use your hook and pull an enemy in, then move slightly in front of them, turn and hit your shift to push them into your team, making them an easy kill. Also, keep in mind, you do need to lead your shots, so make sure that you're practicing in the range to get used to it and speed up your progress. Next, we have the most broken dive hero in the game and the baddest, Magic. This hero is unbelievably powerful and can one-shot every squishy in the game with a very simple combo. The reason she isn't higher on the list is she is also relatively hard to use properly, and if you don't, you'll find yourself out of position and dying a lot, simply because playing dive takes a lot of game sense and mechanical ability. However, if you do learn her, you can take over a game all by yourself. She has great movement, an amazing ultimate, and does an insane amount of damage. All around, she's a beast of a hero. Just make sure you learn how to dive properly when playing her. In order to do her one-shot combo, what you want to do is fully charge up your right click and shoot it at the enemy. As soon as you do, hit your E to dash to them. Then, left click and hit your melee right after. This will delete any squishy in the game. Also, make sure that when you're playing Magic, whenever you left click, you instantly hit your melee button to do an animation cancel. In 7th place, we have every Gooner's favorite, Psylocke. Now this hero is awesome and is my #1 pick for a backline bully. Just like Magic, she can also one-shot any squishy, and if played properly is extremely annoying to deal with because she can just vanish into thin air. Her magic are equally as strong, except Psylocke has a better ultimate, and in my opinion is easier to use and can do more damage consistently without dying due to her range, so I would highly suggest trying her out. Now in order for you to always one-shot a squishy, you need to be using this combo. What you want to do is primary fire, then instantly right click. Once that's done, hit your primary fire again and dash right after. This will kill any healer almost instantaneously. In 6th place, we have Hela. And yes, she is broken just like the rest of the heroes on this list. However, I feel like she is very hard to be good with. And the reason that I say this is she's very hard to aim with and use properly, but not as hard as the heroes ranked before her. Now a good Hela can dominate a game, but a bad Hela is useless, and it really comes down to positioning and aim, which a lot of people struggle with. However, with enough practice, you can definitely improve and carry with her. Also keep in mind that her ultimate is amazing, but it is easily countered by Doctor Strange. Other than that, she is awesome. A good tip for Hela is to combo your abilities in order to melt down a tank. What you want to do is shoot your soul drainer near the tank. This will pull them in, then instantly right click them and spam your left click. This will do a ton of damage if all your spikes land. You can also counter a bunch of ults with her soul drainer, so always be looking to do that as well. Now, it was very hard for me to rank the rest of the heroes from 1 to 5 because they are all user friendly and very powerful. So I took my personal opinion into the matter, but any one of them is amazing. In 5th place, we have Namor. He is extremely powerful for shutting down a dive and has an insane amount of damage output. And while it's true, he may not be the easiest to aim with, unlike all the other heroes, he has 2 turrets that will do damage for you, so even if you miss some shots, you're still getting value. He also has an amazing get out of jail free card, and his ult is easy to use and powerful, especially when comboed with someone like Groot or Doctor Strange. A good tip to make him more powerful is his turret placement. There are 2 ways to use them. You can throw them up high in your backline so they are harder to see and destroy, shutting down a dive easily. However, if you aren't getting dove, you should be throwing them behind the enemy team in random direction. This way they have to turn around to destroy them, breaking their line of sight, and making them easier to kill. Now in 4th place, we have the easiest hero to aim with in the game, none other than the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Ever since her buff this season, she has been a force to be reckoned with. She has an insane amount of damage output and is the best for breaking shields and Groot walls. She also has an easy to use and powerful stun, making her one of the strongest DPS heroes in the game to pick up and carry with. You really can't go wrong playing her unless the enemy team has multiple flying heroes. A good tip for Squirrel Girl is to not aim directly at the enemy. Instead, aim at the ground in front of them so that the nut bounces and explodes at their feet. And if you're shooting multiple enemies, aim in between them, as the splash damage will hit all of them, doing an insane amount of damage without having to actually aim. And in the top 3, taking the 3rd spot, we have the alt-charged demon himself, Moon Knight. Now this hero is extremely annoying to play against and extremely easy to play. Your knives will hit up to 3 people at a time, and if you can't seem to land a shot, you can just shoot your AWP near the enemy and shoot at it. And in low elo, no one breaks it, making it super broken. He also charges his ult every like 10 seconds and it is busted now. However, to actually play him properly, there are some things to keep in mind. Number 1, you want to be playing off angles and trying to get executes, as he can do an insane amount of damage to multiple enemies almost instantaneously. Your main objective is to kill the healers. So you want to get into an off angle, throw your AWP between them, then left click, right click, and left click again. This should kill them. What you don't want to be doing is always pumping damage straight at the tanks, as it's just going to charge up the enemy support ults. However, you can do it sometimes when necessary, but always be looking to isolate fights and get kills. And if you find yourself in a 1v1, throw your AWP down at their feet, left click, left click, and you'll win every time. Also, if you have a cloak team up, you can become invulnerable to almost any ult. All you need to do is when you hear the ult sound, pop it and you will not die, unless it is a one-shot ult like Magneto or Iron Man. And in 2nd place, we have hands down the most annoying hero in the game and one of the easiest to use. Once thought useless, now broken, Wolverine. He is a tank destroyer. He does a ridiculous amount of damage and is almost impossible to kill. As soon as you think he's dead, he is fully healed again somehow, which is lore accurate and hella annoying. But if you use him well, you're gonna have a good time. Your job is to fully focus the tanks, as you do more damage to an enemy the more health they have. So don't dive the backline. Instead, you want to pull the tanks into your team and delete them. In order to do this, you need to dash into the tank, but you don't want to hit your leap right away and then turn. Instead, you want to dash into them, then do a 90-degree turn so they are behind you. After that, you hit your leap. This way you can actually fly away with them. If you don't and you turn mid-leap, you won't go very far. And in first place, we have the Punisher. And you may be asking, why on earth is he in first? Well, because he's unbelievably easy to use, he does a ridiculous amount of damage, can counter aerial enemies, dive enemies, tanks, literally everyone, and he has a turret that does splash damage, has 600 health, and can counter any ult in the game. And on top of that, his movement is great. Essentially, he's broken. And if you get infinite ammo from a rocket, which is a hero you'll see a lot of in low elo, you are unstoppable. Now when playing Punisher, you don't want to just constantly shoot down range with your turret and rifle. You need to be switching to your shotgun as much as possible. Do this whenever the enemies take space and get close, as it will one-shot a healer and will absolutely melt a tank. So don't be scared to get into the action and play him like Reaper from Overwatch. A good tip for Punisher is to cycle between your guns. When up close, use your shotgun. Once you're out of ammo, switch to your rifle. Then once you're out of ammo, swap back and your shotgun will be reloaded. This way you constantly do damage. Also, whenever you hear an ult coming, if you can't get away safely, jump into your turret mode. It will tank the damage for you and you will not die. And lastly, when using his ult, try and pop it when you have a support ult. This way you are invincible and can melt everyone down without getting focused. Because if you don't have enough healing, you're gonna die very easily. Every single hero in this game is great and can be very powerful if mastered correctly, regardless of where they are on this list. That's what makes this game so amazing. However, I would suggest trying out every hero rank 10 and down, and find one that suits you and your playstyle. This way you can master one of the strongest heroes in the game and climb through the ranks easily. And if you are interested in learning how to carry on support, go ahead and check out this video next.